Salutations everybody. Now typically I don't bother doing a commentary for one of these Fire Emblem Heroes videos where I tackle an Infernal map, but this one was just so gosh darn difficult for me that I felt I owed my due respects in actually talking about just how difficult this one was, because it's been a long time since one has actually pushed me this far. And I'm not talking about those maps like with Ursula, where it's like, oh, you gotta all use one specific type of units. Now obviously I find that much harder because for the most part I am a free-to-play player, so I don't have a good range of one specific type to choose from to experiment on those. But for just using any units you want to beat without one death, this was it. This was really fucking difficult. And it all came on sort of different points on the map here. And as you can see, my team composition is a mixed type because I went through the sort of motions of, okay, let's try an all-armor team, let's try an all-cavalry team, and there was always some sort of hiccup. Like that Lancer you take out at the very beginning there with the armor breaker, this map has an answer to everything. And, you know, amongst the challenge like Grand Hero Battles maps or something along that vein, the ones with the legendary heroes are the hardest ones, at least I find, especially if you're free to play. Especially the types where they spawn multiple units. Like the ones that come from behind and then above you, they're very difficult and very challenging to beat. And because they have an answer for everything, there's a poison dagger unit, there's an anti-mage unit sort of thing, there's units of high resistance, there's an anti-armored unit, cavalry, I don't know if I said that already, but there's just an answer for everything in this map. And they've got it all very well set up for them, I must say, because as you can see there's those two corridors at the left and the right that are just designed to send just non-stop bowmen and thieves your way, which they do whittle you down. One of them has a conveniently savage blow as well to just help whittle you down just that little bit more.
Celebrate with me.
And at the very start, they start off a little bit passive, there's not too many aggressors, but then as soon as Ryoma starts moving down, that's when shit really hits the fan. Like, it doesn't cut it just to be a very offensive team in this, or very defensive. You have to be able to do both. At the start, you got to be taking out a decent amount. Like at this point here, like I've cleared a good amount of the map up, right? But as soon as they start spawning the ones below you and the blue mage above, like now, this is when shit starts to really hit the fan here, because now you're being pincered, and now you're probably starting to run out a little bit low on the resources, especially if you're using units with Fury, like I am with Nino there. So you have to be offensive but defensive, and like the real big problem as well is that the main unit of this, Ryoma, has got that thing where he guides units in front of him, and that blue mage was usually the one that tripped me up the most, that one that spawns at the very top, because most everything else I have here can be set up to deal with Ryoma and those other units, especially namely Christmas Tharja. She's a real life send here. But as soon as that blue mage comes into play, I immediately have to backpedal in on myself. But the thing is like, it wasn't just her that was good enough. That's why I have Nino there as a secondary long-range defense, because it just wasn't enough either way.
This is for you.
But man, it was a real hardcore sort of experiment. I think this does rival the difficulty I had with Fel Robin. It's, you know, like I made, that was the first time I made a video because it was just like, wow, this was really difficult. I'd better just like record this. I'll probably forget the pattern I did.
Who do you think I am?
And then something similar did happen with the Legendary Heroes Lyn one. That video was suspiciously missing because I beat it, right? I thought I'd record it later. And then any attempts I made to try to recreate whatever the fuck I did on that was unsuccessful. I had the exact same team and everything, but I just don't know what I did differently. These are these sorts of maps where you have to experiment not just with your units, not just with your seals, but also just like, okay, on a turn-by-turn basis, I gotta do some very specific stuff. Like, you gotta know when to exactly attack and when to pull away. Just because, you know, special trigger timings have to be correct as well. But as you can see, we're kind of winding it down here. It's just amazing in one regard, just seeing, like, 5 minutes worth of footage that took about... You know, you'll see it, but it took over easily an hour to make, simply because just getting this method to work was just a real challenge. And I suppose like that's something I suppose that is exclusive in some ways to free-to-play players, in that if you have a bunch of plus units, you're probably not gonna, and a lot of like a special event units and stuff, right? You're probably not gonna have as much of a problem with this as I had.
What?
But then I suppose it counteracts, because I mean, I guess a pay-to-play player, if I'm gonna guess, their main challenge comes from ranking up in Arena then. Because I mean, no matter what I do, with my free-to-play-ish units. You know what I mean? Like with these are ones I just happened to get by luck. The only time I've really paid was for the 5-star Black Knight, which I never use. That was about $5.
My turn.
But like, there's no way I can rank up in Arena. It's inconceivable for me to do because even if I use my most highest rated units in a team and do it perfect all the way through, I will still cap out at rank 19. I can't get up to 20 until eventually they, you know, power creep it or whatever, or just make it easier, because they are increasingly making the game easier. And I have to also say that although I have a gajillion stamina potions or whatever, right, I would have severely eaten through a lot of them if these challenge maps still cost stamina to use. I'm kind of glad they removed that. I mean, stamina is just a complete non-issue anymore.
Let's go.
More likely you're just going to run out of things to do in a given day. But this is us clearing out this challenge map. I get to say it verbally this time. Usually I just have it on text on screen, but thank you for joining me in this almost like therapy session about how this map went down. Thank you for watching.